So we here at Beyond the Bubble have been spending the final weeks of this 2020 election diving into the state of the race in the actual states that we think will matter. And our aim has been to understand how these campaigns are playing out on the ground. As part of this quest, Dave went to, as we just said, beautiful Arizona. And this is the land you should all remember of Barry Goldwater and of John McCain. And it has been a state that has been reliably Republican for literally decades. I'm talking about, with the exception of FDR, Harry Truman, and the Clinton-Gore ticket, Republicans have been able to rely on Arizona for 100 years. And that's why the state's movement away from Trump is so noteworthy in 2020. It's demographics. It's also a distaste for this president. So let's start. And I'm going to you first, Alex. Give us the state of the play. What do the polls say?
Well, I think the polls in Arizona show what they show in a lot of battleground states right now, where Joe Biden has a small but comfortable lead. Monmouth University, which is releasing a poll at 11 a.m. this morning, showed Joe Biden up 6 points with registered voters, 50% to 44%. That 50% number is key because you see that in a lot of the battleground state polling, where the former vice president isn't just leading Donald Trump, he is at or near 50%. And that's important for a lot of obvious reasons. It also suggests that if there is late movement among undecided voters or people who currently say that they're going to support a third party candidate, that it might not be enough to topple Joe Biden if he's at 49, 50%. And of course, there's no guarantee that all those undecided voters break Joe Biden or break Donald Trump's way. And I should say, again, if you look at that Monmouth poll, that's a 2-point increase for Joe Biden since the last survey taken, I think, about a month ago from Monmouth in the state. And we've also seen this in the last couple of weeks, I really think, since the debate, where Biden's lead was comfortable, after the summer heading into Labor Day. But it seems like he's increasing it. Maybe it's just a couple of points, but it's not as if Joe Biden's advantage here is slipping. In fact, it really does seem like it's growing. And this is a sizable swing in the state. You mentioned it's been reliably Republican on the presidential level for decades. This is a state that swung toward Democrats, even as Trump was winning it by 4.5 points. This is a state that, of course, was a blowout for John McCain and Mitt Romney, and it appears to have swung yet again toward Democrats because, as we've often discussed with Arizona, the demographics there are favorable for Democrats, not only the Latino population, but really the sort of Trump era component of a lot of Republicans, former Republican, I should say, suburban white voters in the Phoenix area who used to be reliably Republican, now voting Democrat in the Trump era. And it's really a sort of a toxic demographic mix for Republicans there at this point in time.
So, Dave, that's what the polls say. Do the lawn signs on the ground in Arizona agree?
No, but they don't vote, and we shouldn't put too much into them. Having spent time there, there's still a core Trump base that is vocal and active. The Trump banners outnumber the Biden signs, but there are more Biden signs. And I went out door knocking with a veterans group for 4 hours. They were knocking on Republican doors and having conversations. And I think one of the things that's underplayed in Arizona is the amount of grassroots work that has gone on since 2016 from a myriad of small groups, whether it be Hispanic groups, whether it be social justice groups, whether it be this veterans group that use veterans to talk to people about why they should move away from the Republican Party. It's all pretty small, but collectively, I think it has made a difference. I think you saw it make a difference in the 2018 Senate race where Kristin Sinema won very narrowly. And now you have Joe Biden up by about 4 points. There's actually new polling out this morning by OH Predictive, an Arizona pollster, a Republican pollster, that has Joe Biden up by 4 points. And that is in line with where the Biden campaign sees the race, 3 to 4 points. That is where they've seen it for weeks and weeks in Arizona. And now we can look at actual votes that are coming in. About 191,000 people have already voted in Arizona. They're in their first week of the early vote. And it's now we don't know who they voted for, but Democrats have a 15-point lead over Republicans on who is returning their ballots. Now, we know that's what's expected, but it is still the largest early lead that Democrats have ever seen. So they're pretty excited about it.
So go ahead, Alex.
Well, I was going to say, and there's a special circumstance too in Arizona in this particular election, in that the wife of the late Senator John McCain, Cindy McCain, has become a forceful supporter of Joe Biden. When I was watching the NFL this past weekend, she was the ad that kept appearing from the Biden campaign, extolling his virtues, telling former Republicans and independents to vote for him. You also have the former Senator Jeff Flake has endorsed Joe Biden and been a strong supporter of his. And maybe that, a lot of Republicans, of course, are tuning out Jeff Flake at this point. But don't forget that the state also has a sizable Mormon population who might be more receptive to that message, who Donald Trump has struggled with. He struggled with in 2016, and there are signs that he's doing better, but still, not hitting the numbers, of course, that Mitt Romney or even John McCain had hit in previous elections. So you do have this special element in Arizona this election, I feel like, that, could be worth maybe a half a point, maybe a point. But again, this is a state that is going to be very close. Those kind of numbers really can matter.